Good evening, everybody. Oh my gosh, less than 2 hours until the Trump tariffs on Canada and Mexico begin. Wow. Is this really happening? Are they really happening? It's less than 2 hours. I mean, time is running out for Trump to announce some kind of deal. Is it really going to happen? Really? I don't know. 1:55 and 41 seconds. This is a big deal. 25% on all goods coming into the US except for Canadian energy, which is 10%. What is this? I don't believe this. Our viewer claims that maple syrup and nachos sold out in my local Walmart, said Tej Lipton. I have a hard time believing that. Nachos? Does your local Walmart get nachos from Mexico? Thanks to L Train for the membership. And PZ Papa Zulu, thanks for the gift membership. So nice of you, PZ Papa Zulu. Thank you. Wow. Guys, this is a huge deal if this happens. It's a very big deal if this happens. Is it going to happen? We're going to have to do a poll. We're getting very close, guys. Look this. Earlier today, Trump said 25% tariffs on Mexican and Canadian imports will start Tuesday with no room for delay. Bad Cat says, "Is Canada really going to shut off America's power?" They have not talked about shutting off any power at this point, but Canada, Trudeau says they're going to have some retaliatory tariffs right away from Canada. I'm going to see if I can get a copy of that Trudeau statement from an official outlet. Prime Minister Trudeau of Canada put out a statement. Doug Ford has, but he can't do it on his own power, says Milkina Bag. I've seen no discussion that that's in the offing. Put it that way. Hang on a moment here. Let me... I have a statement from Prime Minister of Canada. I'm gonna show you this right now. Hold on. Give me one moment. Give me one moment. I'm about to show you the Justin Trudeau statement. Doug Ford, Ontario Premier, said today, I guess, according to Politico, If they want to try to annihilate Ontario, I will do everything, including cut off their energy with a smile on my face. I'm encouraging every other province to do the same. Now, Perplexity AI said, it's important to note that while cutting off power exports is being discussed, it is not yet an official policy of the Canadian federal government. The primary response being prepared is counter tariffs. Speaking of which, we're going to talk about that right now. I have the statement from Justin Trudeau right here. Right here. Statement by the Prime Minister Trudeau on unjustified U.S. tariffs against Canada. Thanks to our moderators for being here. By the way, we have Mike J is moderating. Also over there on X, Linda Belk, Larry, Misha, on Twitch. Good luck, Duck, Matthew, Kohai 3, McBritches, and Surly Dev. Thanks also Moonshadow over on Twitch for subscribing. Thank you. And also Notorious Rob on Twitch. Thanks for your support. And our Facebook moderators. Kay Lowry Body, Margaret Riley, thank you. Thanks also Aaron Van S for subscribing. It's so weird. Like a month ago, when it was the night of the tariff deadline, I remember it was like one of the Canadian province leaders was doing an online stream for like 45 minutes, and then Trudeau came out and made a big speech. And it's like, it's the same tariffs. And I just feel, I don't know if it's people are just resigned to them now, but I feel like much less of a deal is being made of it. I mean, it wasn't nearly as big a story in the U.S., although until maybe today. But, you know, it's like, it's the same tariffs that were going to happen a month ago. Van Gambler says they gave up. Mark says, I think that's what it is, resignation. Team M says, this is also pointless. It will accomplish nothing. Now, we don't know that it's going to happen yet, but we're getting very close now. I mean, we're getting very last minute. We have an hour and 48 minutes left. So we're getting very close. Trump's argument is that these tariffs are needed to make Canada and Mexico stop the import of stop a fentanyl from being brought in over their borders. Even though with Canada, I believe around 1% of the fentanyl brought into the U.S. comes across Canadian border, and also illegal immigration. That's what Trump says, is those are the two reasons given for the tariffs. And also now Trump already announced today that he's increasing, this is a whole other story we got to talk about. Trump already signed an order today to increase tariffs to 20% on Chinese goods. They were at 10% after he increased them a month ago. Well, he just doubled that to 20% today. So these tariffs would be 25% on everything from Mexico and Canada, except 10% for Canadian energy. That's a lot. Mexico has said they'll do something retaliatory, but we don't know what yet exactly. We'll have to see. I mean, I'm waiting to see if these will actually be implemented. It's a big deal. All right, let's read what Prime Minister Trudeau of Canada said tonight. The Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, today issued the following statement on unjustified U.S. tariffs against Canada. Today, after a 30-day pause, the United States administration has decided to proceed with imposing 25% tariffs on Canadian exports and 10% tariffs on Canadian energy. Let me be unequivocally clear. There is no justification for these actions. Again, they begin at 12:01 a.m. Eastern Time. Prime Minister Trudeau says, while less than 1% of the fentanyl intercepted at the U.S. border comes from Canada, we have worked relentlessly to address this scourge that affects Canadians and Americans alike. We implemented a $1.3 billion border plan with new choppers, boots on the ground, more coordination, and increased resources to stop the flow of fentanyl. We appointed a fentanyl czar, listed transnational criminal cartels as terrorist organizations, launched the Joint Operational Intelligence Cell, and are establishing a Canada-U.S. Joint Strike Force on organized crime. Because of this work and in partnership with the United States, fentanyl seizures from Canada have dropped 97% between December 2024 and January 2025 to a near low of 0.03 pounds seized by U.S. Customs and Border Protection. Canada will not let this unjustified decision go unanswered. I think Canada would also argue that, hey, I don't know what the figures are, but I don't think a large part of the illegal immigration coming into the U.S. is coming from the Canada border. Justin Trudeau says, Canada will not let this unjustified action go unanswered. Should American tariffs come into effect tonight, Canada will, effective at 12:01 a.m. Eastern Time tomorrow, which means at the same time that U.S. tariffs come into play, Canada will at 12:01 a.m. respond with 25% tariffs against $155 billion of American goods, starting with tariffs on $30 billion worth of goods immediately, and tariffs on the remaining $125 billion on American products in 21 days' time. Our tariffs will remain in place until the U.S. trade action is withdrawn, and should U.S. tariffs not cease, we are in active and ongoing discussions with provinces and territories to pursue several non-tariff measures. I don't know what those are. While we urge the U.S. administration to reconsider their tariffs, Canada remains firm in standing up for our economy, our jobs, our workers, and for a fair deal. Because of the tariffs imposed by the U.S., Americans will pay more for groceries, gas, and cars, and potentially lose thousands of jobs. Tariffs will disrupt an incredibly successful trading relationship. They will violate the very trade agreement that was negotiated by President Trump in his last term. The agreement, what was that? It's like the North American free, no, it's like, what was the successor to NAFTA? It was United States, Mexico, Canada agreement. That's what it was. The United States, Mexico, Canada agreement, which entered into force on July 1st, 2020. That replaced the NAFTA. You can see here there's actually in the White, this is from January 2020. This is the White House when President Trump was in the White House then. President Trump's United States, Mexico, Canada agreement delivers a historic win for American workers. President Trump is replacing the outdated North American Free Trade Agreement with the United States, Mexico, Canada agreement. Anyways, that was in 2020. It's a free trade agreement among the U.S., Mexico, and Canada. That is the one that Justin Trudeau says Trump is going back on. All right, so is this really going to happen? Is there any announcement from Trump yet? I'm going to keep checking his Truth Social. I think last time that's where we got the announcements that it wasn't happening anymore. But I don't see anything on his... He hasn't posted on Truth Social for 7 hours. And there's 1 hour and 41 minutes left, guys, until the start. What is going to happen? I'm going to read some comments from you guys, but we're getting very, very close now. We are getting very close. Cynthia Masters says, so are we officially in a trade war yet? Kira says, we did not vote for all this. We're going to have to do a poll on whether you think there's going to be a last-minute deal of some sort. Dunkaroo Tube says, I'm from Vancouver and Canadians are pissed. Everyone here is buying Canadian products over U.S. and we are canceling all vacations to the U.S. Nubla Khan says, begun the tariff wars have. Concat says, isn't free trade the cornerstone of capitalism? Silent Way thinks this won't end well for anyone. Angie, it's up to Trump. I mean, Trump, before 1201, he could come out and just say, we're not doing the tariffs. It's up to him. He hasn't done it yet. U.S. Rights and Freedom says, Trump said he would bring down food, fuel, and rent mortgage prices, yet now he starts a trade war with our allies. Why would it happen at 12:01 a.m.? Because that's what the original executive orders say, I believe. Thanks, by the way, to Betty Eftergood, Jan Haneke, for being members. This story, I still do think that a lot of people are sleeping on. This is hugely important and could be hugely impactful. By the way, tomorrow night, President Trump will be addressing a joint session of Congress. It's like the State of the Union, but it's not called the State of the Union. So we will be covering that tomorrow night. The speech starts at 9:10 p.m. We will be covering it tomorrow night for you. We'll have live coverage. Thank you, McLean33, who says, debating if I should pull all my money from stocks and put it to safe investments. Trump is going to cause a massive recession. Crazy, he's doing this. That's what our viewer McLean33 said. All right, let's do a poll. Will Trump call off the tariffs at the last minute? That's the poll question. I mean, right now is considered last minute. Will Trump call off tariffs at last minute? Yes or no? All right, I'm posting this poll right now. We'll see what you have to say. By the way, he's planning other tariffs too on other countries. Let me just throw this up on all the platforms. Got to put it up on Facebook now. I feel like in a world in which there wasn't so much other news, this would be just a gigantic story. All right. I'm posting it right now. All right, I asked you guys, I say, will Trump call off the tariffs at the last minute? Anytime from now until 12:01 is the last minute. We are at the last minute. There's not a lot of time. But I don't know when he called them off. I don't know when he called them off last time. I might have to go look up my old video. 83% on YouTube say no, he will not. Over on Facebook, 60% say no, 40% say yes. There are still some who say yes. And then we have over on Twitch, let's see here. Will he call off the tariffs at the last minute? On Twitch, they say 87% say no. So most of you think no. Most of you think this is happening. Oopsie, not there. I don't want to do that. Mess this up here. Let's see. No, there, right there. That's better. Nick Hobbs is watching at 3:30 in the UK, 3:30 a.m. Let me read some more comments. Tyson Slot Dog says he's probably getting ready for bedtime with Melania. How long do the tariffs go in when they're activated, says Silent Ways? As long as he puts them on for. It's up to Trump. Dark Lord says, I'm waiting for the gotcha at 11:59. I need to look it up. At what time was it that, I'm going to look it up on our coverage a month ago. At what time was it when he said, oh, the Canada thing isn't happening? It was after Trudeau spoke. Where is it? Can't even find our stream on it. I don't know which one it was. We had a bunch of different streams. Is this it? Let's see here. No. Oh, yeah, it is. I got it. So I'm watching right here. I'm looking at our stream from that night. And, okay, we got to about 10 p.m. Where on that stream is it that he announced it? Let's see if I can find it here. Oh, that might have been, was that the night before? I don't even remember. I can't find it. I don't know. If somebody finds a time code, let me know. My point is, I was trying to say, like, when did he do it? When did he call it off last time? All right, I'm going to get rid of the polls. Thanks for voting. Most of you think that these are not getting called off at the last minute. Let me check the chat. Maybe people said in the chat. There's 1 hour, a little more than an hour and a half right now. It was postponed in the morning. No, it wasn't. I don't think it was. Oh, you're saying... No, I thought maybe I might be misremembering. Because we were covering it like the night before. And we came on to cover it. And I remember like Trudeau made a speech, right? But didn't it happen like right after that? Didn't he postpone it? I thought it was just a few hours. Maybe a couple hours before. Or was it that Trudeau spoke the night before? Maybe that's what it was. Yeah, because I know what you're saying. Someone said they remember like it was in early in the day. So maybe when we did our stream last time, it was the day before. It was like not right before, it was the second day before. I think you might be right. Yeah, Demi Wolf says the Mexican president posted a tweet in the morning. Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess that's what happened is that, I mean, that just shows you what a huge deal it was a month ago. That we were covering it not the night before, but the night before the night before. And that's when Trudeau made his speech, and there was another, I think it was David Eby, who's the head of one of the provinces, did a live stream. But yeah, I think this was the night before the night before. And then the next day, it just got worked out during the day. I think you're right about that. Right, they didn't actually go into effect. Correct? Are we correct or no? Yeah, because I don't even see that we had a countdown up. We streamed that night. That was February 1st. And February 1st was what day? They were supposed to go into effect on a Tuesday. And February 1st was... Should not take this long to get this. February 1st was a Saturday, yes. Saturday, really? Anyways, I don't think they ever went into effect. Well, an hour and 29 minutes now. Hey, thanks to Nick Ross, who thinks the world is in bad shape, past politics failed, we need change. It'll get ugly before it improves. I support tariffs, says Nick Ross. Thank you also, Laugh Till Yoop to Yoop. Pay attention to Lima. Why am I paying attention to Lima in South America? Can somebody tell me that? Peru, why am I doing this? One of the viewers said pay attention. Thank you, Laugh. Thank you. Also, Green Light Courier Service. Will you talk about existing tariffs? I don't know about what Canada has in place. I'm not even sure what's in place right now. I'd have to ask like AI or something. I mean, there is a free trade agreement between them currently. I'm asking ChatGPT and it keeps giving me what the proposed tariffs are. All right, I don't know if I'm going to find this easily. Might take too much time. It sounds like Green Light Courier Service, you have something in mind. So if you want to, just email me on X and tell me the specific thing you're thinking about. A tornado watch in parts of Oklahoma and Texas until 5 a.m. A few tornadoes possible, by the way. Just so you know, guys. Including Oklahoma City. That's from NWS Tornado. All right, let's talk about this. Let's talk about these tariffs. President Trump said today that 25% taxes on imports on everything from Mexico and Canada, except 10% on Canadian energy, would start Tuesday, sparking renewed fears of a North American trade war that already showed signs of pushing up inflation and hindering growth. He said tomorrow tariffs 25% on Canada and 25% on Mexico, and that'll start. He said they're going to have a tariff. Trump has said the tariffs are to force the two U.S. neighbors to step up on their fight against fentanyl trafficking and stop illegal immigration. But Trump has also indicated he wants to eliminate the America's trade imbalances as well as push more factories to relocate in the United States. His comments quickly rattled the U.S. stock market, with the S&P 500 index down 2% in Monday afternoon trading. It is a sign of the political and economic risks Trump feels compelled to take, given the possibility of higher inflation and the possible demise of the decades-long trade partnership with Mexico and Canada. And we have an hour and 24 minutes until they go into effect. Yet the Trump administration remains confident that tariffs are the best chance to boost U.S. manufacturing and attract foreign investment. The Trump's Commerce Secretary today claimed that the computer chipmaker TSMC had expanded its investment in the U.S. because of the possibility of separate 25% tariffs. That's what he claimed. Also, in February, Trump put a 10% tariff on imports from China. He re-emphasized Monday that the rate would be doubling to 20% on Tuesday. He signed something about this today. Trump provided a 1-month delay in February as both Mexico and Canada promised concessions, but Trump said today there was no room left for Mexico or Canada to avoid the steep new tariffs. As we told you, Justin Trudeau said Canada will retaliate by putting 25% tariffs on American goods worth $155 billion Canadian over the course of 21 days, starting with taxes on goods worth $30 billion Canadian after midnight tonight. Mexican President Sheinbaum went into Monday waiting to see what Trump would say. Both countries have tried to show action in response to Trump's concerns. We talked about that. Companies ranging from Ford to Walmart have warned about the negative impact that tariffs could create for their businesses. Similarly, multiple analyses by the Peterson Institute for International Economics and the Yale University Budget Lab suggest an average family could face price increases of more than $1,000. An economist at Cornell University, Eswar Prasad, said it's going to have a very disruptive effect on businesses in terms of their supply chains, as well as their ability to conduct their business operations effectively. There are going to be inflationary impacts that are going to be disruptive impacts. Trump also plans to roll out what he calls reciprocal tariffs in April that would match the rate charged by other countries, including any subsidies and any value-added taxes charged by those countries. One hour and 22 minutes. 1 hour and 22 minutes, everyone. We're getting very close to this. El Hazel Ross says, start making it in America. Justin D says, thugs attack their friends too. Mike J says, why Trump wants a trade war, I don't know. Ian Onnichan says Trump's never-ending news cycle. Chris Register thinks the only good thing is that it provides an extremely small sliver of opportunity for American businesses. That's what Chris Register thinks. Brittany Pushinsky says this is crazy stuff. Let me check something here. Keep an eye on Bitcoin. It's Bitcoin on Yahoo Finance. Bitcoin has had an interesting couple days. Yesterday, Bitcoin went up a bunch because Trump posted saying there's going to be a strategic crypto reserve in the US, but it lost all its gains today. Trades 24 hours, so I'll keep an eye on that. I wonder what's happening. Do we have... Are the Asia markets open? I'm looking at CNBC. Asia markets. I assume they're open. Let me see. Yes, so a bunch of them are down a little bit. The Japanese one, Nikkei, is down almost 2%, but a bunch of them are down a little bit. Look at U.S. stock futures. According to CNN, they claim that Dow futures are around a little above even, plus 0.13%. S&P 500 a little above even, plus 0.23%. NASDAQ plus 0.3%. Who knows what it'll be in the morning? Did stock traders price in? Have they just already assumed that these tariffs are starting? CNBC said stock futures tick higher after Monday's big sell-off. All right, hang on a moment here. Here's something from Reuters. Trump locks in Canada-Mexico tariffs to launch on Tuesday. Stocks tumble. Oh, they have a little video here. Maybe we can play this video. Let's see. They have an investment officer and managing director. They have a video with him. Let's see what maybe we'll play this. Hang on a moment. We're going to play a little video that goes with this article. A video about... You know what this is about exactly. This financial expert said tariffs imposed by Trump could increase the risk of U.S. stagflation, in which consumer prices stay elevated while economic growth slows. I'm going to play this little thing here. If I can get it on the screen for you. Where did it go? Where did it go? I got it. Here it is. Let's take a look at this video from Reuters. Then we'll talk some more about this.
The tariff situation and its effect on the domestic U.S. economy are really a bigger concern now that we have a more aggressive stance coming out of Washington. And that being said, the stagflation issue is rearing its head. And stagflation is quite simply a stagnant or or if not rising, a stable inflation rate, but a declining economic base. And I expect these specific tariffs to be damaging to the economy while increasing the prices of goods and services. It means the economy is not expanding and it's contracting. Anytime economy contracts, that makes it harder for growth to happen throughout the economy. It makes it harder for workers to get paid higher wages. It makes it harder for people to engage in their consumerism. The stock market took this as a real negative. Obviously, they're looking at the growth prospects and the challenge for the U.S. economy, and they're pricing in that the companies within the U.S. are going to have a harder time being profitable, productive, and otherwise staying the course with regard to what might have been the opportunity prior to the tariffs taking place. So the stock market definitively took this as a negative, and I think the bond market follows suit as well.
There's a little one expert's analysis for you. Reuters says U.S. President Trump said 25% tariffs on goods from Mexico and Canada will take effect starting at 12:01 a.m. in an hour and 15 minutes, pushing North America closer to a regional trade war and sending financial markets reeling. Trump's comments triggered a sell-off in global stocks and pushed bond yields lower. The Mexican peso and Canadian dollar both fell following his remarks. Trump also said, I got to show you something about that. He's increasing tariffs on all Chinese imports to 20% from the previous 10%. Let's not forget about that. CEOs and economists say Trump's tariffs on Canada and Mexico, covering more than $900 billion worth of annual U.S. imports, will deal a serious setback to the highly integrated North American economy. The tariffs are scheduled to take effect in 1 hour and less than 15 minutes. At that point, the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Agency will begin collecting 25% on Canadian and Mexican goods, with a 10% duty for Canadian energy. Oh, so I guess this says the additional Chinese tariffs will also kick in at that deadline. So Trump tariffs, don't forget, there's also the new tariffs on China are kicking in. Increased tariffs on China. I mean, I haven't bought a phone lately or something. Are people noticing phone prices going up and other electronics from China? I don't know. Chris N says I stocked up. I haven't shopped for one of these things lately. One of our viewers, Mighty, claims that GPUs went up 25%. Real Life says not until new stock needs to be brought in. I know what you're saying. One of our other viewers said GPUs went up a little. Air fryers, says Gulf Wang Puck. I don't need another air fryer, fortunately. Mexico's economy ministry said there would be no public response until President Sheinbaum's regular morning press conference on Tuesday. She has vowed to respond, saying we have a plan B, C, D. We told you that in Canada there will be retaliatory tariffs going into effect, starting with tariffs on $30 billion of U.S. goods, and after 21 days going up to $155 billion of U.S. goods. The Ontario Premier, Doug Ford, told NBC that the U.S. tariffs and Canada's retaliation would be an absolute disaster for both countries. I don't want to respond, but we will respond like they've never seen before, said Doug Ford, adding that Michigan auto plants would likely shut down within a week and that he would halt nickel shipments and cross-border transmission of electricity from Ontario to the U.S. Is that really going to happen? I don't know. He said, I'm going after absolutely everything. China's Commerce Ministry on Tuesday vowed countermeasures against the U.S. and urged the U.S. to immediately withdraw its tariffs, which China described as unreasonable and groundless and harmful to others. The state-backed Global Times newspaper in China said Beijing's countermeasures would most likely target U.S. agricultural and food products. Guys. At the end of the article, it says Trump's tariffs on steroids, in quotes, may keep inflation higher and could tip the global economy into a recession, warned Desmond Lockman, a senior fellow at the conservative American Enterprise Institute. Whew, guys. 1 hour and 11 minutes. G. Fixler says, sounds like eggs are about to get way more expensive. Play the Doug Ford interview on MSNBC. I cannot steal MSNBC's Doug Ford interview and play it on my channel. That I'm not permitted to do. I wonder if, hang on a second here. Nothing new. Trump has not posted on his social, on his True Social in 8 hours. Let me know your thoughts as we have 1 hour and 9 minutes and 52 seconds until the Trump tariffs. Oh, thank you. CRT mentioned that Katie Simpson of CBC said Prime Minister Trudeau will have a news conference at 10:30 a.m. on tomorrow morning. That's from Katie Simpson of CBC. Human, our viewer, says, I feel like the fallout on this, I feel like the fallout of this is really lost on people at the moment. Thank you, Human. I think it's a huge deal. Our viewer, Andy Yates, says, I think they got called off hours or even days, even the day before last time. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was a day or two before. Yeah, we covered him today. We covered his question and answer session today, Trump, where he said that it was too late for Canada and Mexico to do anything about it. But you never know. Frisia thinks he is stopping electricity to the USA. I know he said, Doug Ford said he was going to do that, but that would be a huge deal. I don't know that that's going to happen. Thank you, Camus. Wow, Camus says, I hope the economy crashes and the Republicans lose the 2026 elections. I mean, I do think this is, we read you an article that said it was politically risky for Trump. Thank you to Sevenfold for your support. Sevenfold 777 from Canada. And Chaplain Grimaldus. Thank you, Chaplain Grimaldus. Chaplain Grimaldi says, I am reminded of a quote from the late Henry Kissinger. America has no permanent friends or enemies, only interests. Thank you, Hibiscus Rose, who is concerned about what this could mean for the poor, elderly, and misfortunate. Thank you, Nina, Drew, and me. Thank you, me, for being a member. And Chris. Chris thinks China is dying as Vietnam and India are the new factories for Western industry. That's what Chris thinks. And thank you, Jake, for your support. And Caleb. Caleb thinks this is just another Trump family pump and dump. Buy the dip, then reverse course. Jake thinks Trump doesn't understand basic economics. Jess C says Trump wants fair trade and Canada and Mexico to control their borders. I just hope this doesn't make inflation worse. Wow, Brian Beelman, that's so nice of you. Brian just gave 20 people memberships over and near on YouTube. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate that. Make sure you thank Brian and anybody else who gives you a gift membership or gift subscription. So nice of you, Brian Beelman. Also, thanks to Questello for the bits on Twitch. And Jane and Wheezy Questella says, people are intense. Larry Picklejar as well on Twitch. Thank you. Larry Picklejar thinks this could be costly for Republicans in the midterms. You can see here, China vows to hit back against U.S. tariffs, which are going up to 20% from 10% at 12:01. Reuters says China's Commerce Ministry on Tuesday vowed to retaliate against fresh U.S. import tariffs set to take effect on Tuesday, later in China, so 12:01 a.m. U.S., reiterating its stance that the Trump administration was trying to shift the blame and bully Beijing over fentanyl flows. The extra 10% duty President Trump threatened China with last week is expected to enter into force at 12:01 a.m. Eastern Time, resulting in a cumulative 20% tariff in response to what the White House considers Chinese inaction over drug flows. I wonder what China will say in response, will do in response. The U.S. has argued that China supplies chemicals used in fentanyl production. China has denied any wrongdoing. The Global Times reported on Monday that China had American agricultural and food products in its crosshairs and would hit back with a series of both tariffs and non-tariff measures. That is a government-owned newspaper. What will China do? Oh my gosh, guys. 1 hour and less than 3 minutes until the new tariffs. We're getting very close. We're running out of time for a last minute pulling of the tariffs, a last minute intervention by Trump. We're really getting close. Less than an hour and 3 minutes. Physics says trade war begins tonight. Thank you, Evil Bunny, for the gift membership, by the way. Man. Let me see if I have any updates for you. Jimmy says tariffs tonight. I have some more on Canada's plan from Reuters. Canada's plan for retaliatory tariffs on the U.S. Thank you, Pet Brett, for your support. Pet Brett says Trump mentioned his tariffs are also to combat currency manipulation. Did he say that? I don't remember that, but maybe he said it. Pet Brett says that is a loaded statement and something not something you just say. Thank you, Pet Brett from Canada. Thank you, Eric, our new member. Joe S. says trade war, trade war, trade war. Everyone loses. Illume says people always underestimate Trump. Trump always wins. Thank you, Airtight Ski Pole over on Twitch for your support. Whew. Guys, in 40 seconds, it's going to be an hour. Maybe I have some video I can show you of something. What is this here? In 18 seconds, it's going to be 1 hour. We're almost at under an hour. We're almost at under an hour. Oh no, look at this. Look at the clock there. Oh my gosh. We are under an hour. Under an hour until tariffs. You know, I'm watching this thing from China. Chinese National People's Congress spokesperson speaks to media a day before the annual meeting. They're not going to talk about tariffs in this thing, are they? Let me play this China video. There's an English language translation. I don't think this is going to be about tariffs. I'll play it for a minute. Hold on. Hang on a moment. That's from China.
The Presidium of the session held its first meeting and assigned Mr. Lou Qinjian as the spokesperson.
This is live from Beijing.
He will now brief you on the agenda of the session and relevant arrangements.
I'm going to play it for like 15 seconds.
And he will take your questions on the schedule and work of the NPC. Thank you. Friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to the press conference for the third session of the 14th National People's Congress. Just now, the preparatory meeting adopted the agenda of the upcoming NPC session.
I don't think this is going to talk about tariffs.
Of the 2,929 deputies to the 14th NPC, 2,893 have checked in.
I'm not going to play this. I don't have confidence. It's not supposed to be. It's about National People's Congress spokesperson speaks to media a day before the annual meeting starts. I think maybe China's parliament, do they meet like at one time during the year? Am I remembering that right? Let me check this out. I'm looking this up right now. Yes. ChatGPT, well, according to ChatGPT, China's National People's Congress typically meets once a year in March, and the session lasts about 1 or 2 weeks and is held at the Great Hall of the People. I mean, maybe he'll mention tariffs or something, but I don't know when, so. All right. "57 minutes and 25 seconds until the new tariffs on Canada and Mexico and also increased tariffs on China." Wow. Oh, I was going to talk about the Canadian retaliation. I'll do that in a second. No, we don't need to see this anymore. There we go. Dew says that's the countdown till the end of the world. One of our viewers said, how long till we start seeing the price difference on the shelves, says Marcia Braga. That's, I don't know, Marcia. I don't know how long that'll take. George Droid says 3 days. Maybe it just depends on the type of good. Maybe some goods, there's a bunch of them in stock. Maybe other goods that, within a couple days you got to get the new stock in. Chaz thinks companies will respond to the tariffs immediately. Stephen Parmy says not long. Billy Joe says some prices have been going up in expectation of tariffs. Amherst says corporations will take any excuse to raise prices. They will all do it. This is a guaranteed inflation. Thanks so much to Boomer Wow, by the way, for your support. Boomer Wow thinks instead of retaliating, these other countries should be lowering prices to stay in the game. Ryan2426 says 8 hours since the last Truth Social post a record. I don't know. I'd have to go. I mean, I assume that he, like, when he goes to sleep at night, sleeps and doesn't post. I don't know, what his normal post schedule is there on X, on Truth Social. He hasn't been posting that much the last few days. I think he posts like in bursts. I don't know. But he hasn't posted for 8 hours. Is it weird for him not to post for 8 hours? Maybe. I mean, he's been busy. Well, he did. He had the, had the meeting about Ukraine. And then there was the announcement that came out that that Trump has paused all military aid on Ukraine. Maybe he has somewhere maybe he's resting tonight. Maybe he had some kind of thing he had to do. So I can't really, I don't have the background to answer whether that's what the usual length is. I mean, it's a while though. Maybe there's somebody in the chat that has studied his patterns. Thank you, Ryan2426 for the question. And Sweet Cheeks, our member, who says, I feel like we're losing all of our allies. Let's talk about the response from Canada. You can see here, Canada's plan for retaliatory tariffs on the U.S. This is from Reuters. Prime Minister Trudeau of Canada said today that retaliatory tariffs on the U.S. will take effect at 12:01 a.m., same time as the U.S. tariffs, guys. In 53 minutes and 50 seconds. President Trump said the U.S. will proceed with 25% tariffs on Canadian and Mexican goods and 10% duties on Canadian energy products at 12:01 a.m. tonight. After a 1-month reprieve expired, Trudeau said immediate tariffs on 30 billion Canadian dollars of U.S. imports would take effect immediately, and more tariffs could follow. The retaliation amount was the same as in the February announcement, though he did not give details on which goods would be impacted. Tariffs on a remaining 125 billion Canadian dollars would come into force after 21 days of U.S. goods. Products. The first tranche of retaliation by Canada includes a list of 1,256 products such as orange juice, peanut butter, wine, spirits, beer, coffee, appliances, apparel, footwear, motorcycles, cosmetics, and pulp and paper. That's the first round of Canada's retaliatory tariffs. Second tranche. The government will be consulting the public and stakeholders for a second tranche of retaliatory tariffs, which will include a wide range of products imported from the U.S., such as passenger vehicles and trucks, electric vehicles, steel and aluminum products, fruits and vegetables, aerospace products, beef, pork, and dairy. That's for the 3 weeks from now. Trudeau has also said Canada is considering non-tariff retaliatory measures, potentially relating to critical materials, energy procurement, and other partnerships. His energy minister has said an export tariff on critical minerals is one option. Also, the Canadian government is saying they will work to mitigate the impact of tariff countermeasures on Canadian workers and businesses. It will establish a remission process to consider requests for relief from the tariffs imposed as part of Canada's immediate response, as well as any future tariff actions. 51 minutes and 30 seconds. We are running out of time for President Trump to make some last-minute announcement that there's been some deal, that Canada and Mexico have made concessions. We're getting very close. Hasselhoff says nothing going to happen. Do you mean nothing by Trump or no tariffs? We are really getting close now. Thank you, B-Man, who says, Canada's water tariffs, we sell it, check it out. I don't know what you mean. What do you mean? Unfortunately, I don't really have a lot of time to take and research this. I don't know. Fresh Apple says people don't understand Trump's first term in office. He used tariffs. This ain't his first rodeo, and the USA did very well. I believe these tariffs are way more than he did during his first term. "49 and a half minutes. I actually have an article about this right here. I have an article about it, I think. Yes, I do. So I think Trump's tariff tactics carry higher economic risk than during his first term. Let's see. During his first term, Trump put tariffs on most Chinese goods and on imported solar panels, washing machines, steel, and aluminum. The tax increases might have raised prices on those items, but they had little or no impact on overall inflation, which remained modest, nor did they do much to restore factory jobs. Economists agree that a second Trump trade war could be far costlier than the first, says AP. That was then, this is now, said a trade analyst. During Trump's first term, his trade team carefully focused its tariff hit list to avoid or at least delay the impact on consumers. They targeted industrial products and not those that would show up on Walmart shelves, said Reinsch, a former trade official. That tamped down the impact. This time, by contrast, the tariffs are across the board. Although the tariffs Trump plans on Tuesday would limit the levy on Canadian energy to 10%, showing he was mindful of how much Americans in the northern and midwestern states depend on oil and electricity from north of the border. You can see here in Boca Raton, the toy company Basic Fun is preparing to raise prices and absorb a hit to profits when the tariffs land. 90% of Basic Fun's toys come from China, including Tonka and Care Bears. CEO Jay Foreman says the price on the Tonka Classic Steel Mighty dump truck is likely to rise later this year from $29.99 to as much as $39.99. 5 years ago, the Trump administration spared toys, exempting them from its China tariffs. This time, not the case. Perhaps the biggest difference between this and in his first term, when he used tariffs, is the economic backdrop Trump must contend with this time, says AP. 6 years ago, inflation was low, maybe even too low. The Federal Reserve fretted. Trump's first-term tariffs didn't make a dent. Inflation is not so benign anymore. Prices surged in the unexpected boom that followed the end of COVID lockdowns. Inflation has come down from the 4-decade high it hit in mid-2022, but it's still stuck above the Fed's 2% target and it hasn't shown much improvement since summer. Trump's tariffs could rekindle the inflationary trend and convince the Fed to cancel or postpone the 2 interest rate cuts it had anticipated this year. This would risk keeping interest rates at their current elevated level for a longer period in 2025. That will push up mortgage and loan borrowing rates and reduce real growth, said an economist from Boston College. Whew, 45:21. 45 minutes, guys. We're getting very close. 45 minutes. I should show you one of the articles that talks about like what goods will be impacted. We haven't done that yet. We did that a bunch last time when we were covering it a month ago. Give me a moment here. Give me a moment. There were more of those articles like a month ago. I feel like the story got way more attention like a month ago. But this time, it looks like the tariffs actually might go into effect. Has Trump posted anything? I keep having to check. Trump has not posted anything since 8 hours ago. So far, we have no post from Trump announcing that no more tariffs, that they're not going to go into effect. In 43 minutes. In 43 minutes. Russ Lane thinks there will be short-term pain and long-term gain. Yes, as Gallant says, there will be 10% more tariffs on China tonight as well. An additional 10% on Chinese goods. Balaclava says he said he's going to do it. KM Reptiles says, hope everyone is ready for high prices. Physics says, Trump done playing around. Anytime at all says, will this apply to meds and medical equipment? As far as I understand, it applies to everything coming from Mexico and Canada, 25% except Canadian energy, which is 10%. But everything, from what I understand. Blanket tariffs. A couple of our viewers are mentioning this post that we talked about earlier today, which I believe is being reported as part of the retaliatory tariffs. Like Sunday, Florida mentioned this. I'll show you. We talked about it earlier today. Where is it here? Hang on a second. Right. So Trump has been saying for weeks that there's going to be these new reciprocal tariffs coming on April 2nd. That's different from tonight. And he posted something on his True Social today. But according to Josh Wingrove, who's a reporter I follow, the White House is saying, oh, when he posted this, it's just part of the reciprocal tariffs. It's not new tariffs. I don't know. It's not even clear what these reciprocal tariffs are going to be. But he posted today, again, we talked about this before, but I just want to go over it one more time because a couple people mentioned it. He said to the great farmers of the United States, get ready to start making a lot of agricultural product to be sold inside of the United States. Tariffs will go on external agricultural products on April 2nd. Have fun. So, again, according to Josh Wingrove, they're claiming that this is not a new tariff beside the reciprocal tariffs. Anyways, it suggests that there's going to be some tariffs on April 2nd on agricultural products coming into the U.S. No. Yes. Right. Because it would be tariffs on external agricultural product coming into the U.S. Yes. Which I assume could raise people's grocery prices and other things, other prices. $39 and 26 seconds. We are running out of time for Trump to announce some kind of last-minute deal, guys. We are running out of time. Time is getting short. Oh, The Economist. They had some article today I wanted to look at. I haven't even looked at it. Give me one moment. Let me pull it up so I can see it here. I don't think. So The Economist has an article today, and the title of the article is Trump's New Tariffs Are Set to Be His Most Extreme Ever. And the article starts, he has actually gone and done it. He had long threatened to impose hefty tariffs on Canada and Mexico, U.S.'s two biggest trading partners. He gave a reprieve a month ago, but they're set to come into effect at 12:01 a.m. Again, 25% on all goods from Mexico and Canada, with 10% on Canadian energy, and also an additional 10% tariff on Chinese goods on top of the 10% he implemented a month ago. The Economist says many investors and company bosses had assumed his talk was more bark than bite and that he would back down again. But within seconds of him saying today that he was going to do it, stock markets went way down. They say, The Economist thinks the stock market would have gone down more, but there's suspicion that Trump might roll back the tariffs if things get bad after. Now, this is from The Economist. This is what they say. I don't think they're huge Trump fans, but they're not, always pro-Republican or pro-Democrat. I've seen them be critical of Joe Biden many times. The Economist says that the tariffs on Canada and Mexico will stand as the most extreme and most dangerous act of protectionism by an American president in nearly a century. They threatened to blow apart a three-way trading relationship between America, Canada, and Mexico that has been one of the most successful examples of economic integration, especially in the car industry. Mr. Trump thinks tariffs will coax car makers to build plants in America. The Economist says, in reality, the disruptions will lead to snarled supply chains and higher costs for consumers. Analysts calculate the average car price in America will rise by about $2,500, says The Economist. And The Economist says much of the cost of these tariffs will be borne by American consumers and businesses. From asparagus to tomatoes and cars to crude oil, Mexico and Canada are major suppliers to America. See, this is very interesting. The Economist also says that it's extraordinary that the new tariffs on China have garnered little media attention. Two months into Trump's term, he has more than, he said in his first term, there were increases in tariffs, and it raised the average tariff on China to 19%. Now, not even 2 months until his new term, he has more than doubled that. Because as of 12:01 a.m., there'll be an extra 20% on all imports from China, 10% from a month ago and 10% tonight. And those new tariffs extend to products such as computers, toys, and smartphones, which he had excluded in his first term, Trump. I think that's a good point. You don't really even hear the China tariffs being discussed much. Anyways, so The Economist thinks this is a pretty big deal and that prices are going to go up for American consumers. It's going to hurt American businesses. That's what The Economist thinks. Will it result in Canada and Mexico cutting down significantly the number of people illegally migrating across their borders? Will it cut down seriously on the amount of fentanyl in the U.S. coming in? Will it ultimately lead to a lot more manufacturing in the U.S.? If it does lead to more manufacturing in the U.S., will that mean things are more expensive? I have no idea. You know, I saw this article here from Reuters. Honda to produce next Civic in Indiana, not Mexico, due to U.S. tariff, sources say. Honda has decided to produce its next generation Civic hybrid in the U.S. state of Indiana instead of Mexico to avoid potential tariffs. They had originally planned to manufacture the next generation Civic in Mexico. Mexico was chosen because rising costs were making it tough to produce a car in Indiana and Canada. But will this mean they have to charge more for the car? That's my question. If they weren't originally going to build it in the U.S. because it was going to cost too much, and now they are because of the tariffs, does that mean that it's going to cost more eventually than it would have if they built it in Mexico? Now, Ryan L. says more jobs. Pensby Lad says, of course, the Civic price will go up. Whew. Mr. T says, yes, labor is more expensive here. Ronnie Robbins says, will Mexico and Canada get together and trade more? Wow. 31 minutes and 40 seconds. I really think, I know I sound like a broken record. I think a lot of people are sleeping on this story. I think this is an immensely important story. Immensely important. Huge. I just think maybe because there's been all this other news, people aren't really on this. Some of our viewers agree. Again, I just think it's a huge, huge story. And hugely impactful. Red Girl says, nothing we can do to stop it. Hey, you know what we can do? We can thank our moderators. Let's thank our mods for being here. We have Margaret Riley is moderating. Kay Lowry Body, thank you. One of our viewers said, farmers are going to get hurt yet again. I can't find the comment. It flew by. I've been reading some speculation that Canada might tax, is it called potash, which farmers use. They use it for fertilizer? Is that what it is? I have to look this up. Thanks to our, which American farmers use. Good luck, Duck. I got that fire. Matthew Kohai 3, Papa Bear and Surly Def for modding. Thank you. Linda Bell, Glary, and Misha on X. Potash? I don't know how to pronounce it. Let me see. The Iowa Public Radio had an article this week that the headline is, Farmers' fertilizer costs will rise if tariffs on Canadian goods go forward. Experts warn. And what they say is, the Iowa Public Radio says, excuse me, I'm forgetting to hydrate here. Potash. Wikipedia says it's pronounced potash. So, Iowa Public Radio says the U.S. imports more than 80% of its potash, a key compound used in fertilizer. Oh, Republican Chuck Grassley posted about this on his X account. He's an Iowa senator. If I can find it here. Where is it? I'd like to show it to you. I have too many things open. This is the problem. This is the problem. I don't even know what I was looking at. Got to find it again. There it is. I found it. This is a post from February 3rd from Chuck Grassley. Biden inflation increases the input cost to farming by 20%, including particularly high prices on fertilizer. So I plead with President Trump to exempt potash from the tariff because family farmers get most of our potash here from Canada. There is no exception. These new tariffs on Canada and Mexico and China, the only exception is Canadian energy. That's it. And Canadian energy is 10%. E-Oddity thinks America can make our own. Is that true? Is that true? I don't know. Wow, El Vasco, guys, just gave 50 of you gift memberships in the YouTube chat. El Vasco. That is really nice of El Vasco. Thank you. Make sure you thank El Vasco if they gave you a gift membership, or somebody else if they gave you a gift membership or a gift subscription. That is really generous of El Vasco. Look at that. Please thank El Vasco for your gift membership. Thank you. Thank you also, Jonathan Sharp, who says Warren Buffett called the tariffs an economic act of war. Thanks, Jonathan Sharp. Yeah, I'm seeing that right now. Business Insider says he called them an act of war to some degree. He said in an interview with CBS News Sunday Morning. Thank you, Jake, who says Smoot Hawley Tariff 21st Century Edition. Thank you, Jonathan Sharp. I thank Jonathan Sharp. Thank you, El Vasco, who's watching from Argentina. Wow. Cordoba, Argentina. That's really neat. Thanks for watching from there. I'd love to visit there one day. I'd love to visit South America. Try to do that. I'm going to try to do that at some point. Thank you, El Vasco. It's really nice of you. Thanks, B-Man. Guys, there are 24 minutes left. 24 minutes. 24 minutes. Are there really, oops, hold on a second here. Is that it? We're running out of time. Is there going to be, is this really happening? Is it really happening? Is there going to be no Trump post on Truth Social to say it's not happening? 24 minutes. He hasn't posted in over 9 hours. Physics says it's so over. Eric Martinez says it's happening. Is he really not bluffing? Is he really not bluffing? Rexy Rabbit says it is happening. TJ Adams says let's do this. Wow. 23 minutes and 30 seconds. We already did take a poll, and most of you thought that it was happening. Ryder says game over. Toby Bridson thinks Trump will say something. He cannot help himself. Trump hasn't even posted. It's really strange. So we were doing a stream before this. Around 7 p.m. it came out that Trump had ordered a pause on all military aid to Ukraine. White House officials talked to various news outlets and gave them that story. They didn't give their names, but basically every big news outlet ran a version of the story with quotes from White House officials. So, but there has not been, Trump did not post anything about it, and there's been no press release from the White House. It's kind of odd. For such a big policy change, there still has been no official announcement of it, which I don't have an explanation for that. Brad thinks markets will crash. So, given that they didn't say anything about that, it's just, maybe he's doing something tonight. Maybe he's busy with something. Cool for Real says he's furiously typing as we speak. Hey, quick thanks to, wow, Why Chin. Thanks so much, Y, for all your support. That's so nice of you. Y Chin, thank you. Also, thanks to Sevenfold 777 for being a member, who says poor Canadians already rely on the food banks. B-Man from Canada says, why? Americans, Canadians are stronger together. Thank you, Captain Jerry Donnelly, who says, bring it, nothing to lose but money. Thanks, Bebop. Nothing to lose but money. Thank you, Bebop and Rocksteady, who says, the U.S. can outlast both the Canada and Mexico. It's silly to think we can't. If this goes the distance, they'll break first. Plant small crops to help. You'll be okay. Bebop and Rocksteady says, plant small crops to help. Brian Beelman, thank you. Brian says, no bluff. Thank you, KS, who says, access to American markets is not a right. Oh my gosh. Guys, 20 minutes and 30 seconds until this happens. Chris McVeigh says, so when do we pull out of NATO? Ed Scarborough, our viewer, says, Canada and Mexico are not bluffing either. Hey, Paul Anderson is moderating too. Thanks, Paul. Timodo says, let's all farm. Real Life says, Russian trade deal incoming. Again, 25% on all goods from Mexico and Canada, except 10% on Canadian energy. But everything else, 25%. And 10% on, I believe it's all Chinese goods, on top of the 10% that was already put on a month ago. And remember, The Economist said, I read you the article, they said it's extraordinary that you are not hearing more media discussion about this the China tariffs. Jazzy Renee says, I am not a fan of this timeline. Less than 19 minutes. It really might happen. And then what happens? You know, one other thing The Economist pointed out is that Trump had this provision that if other countries retaliate, he can then retaliate more on them. Let me just go back and talk about that for a second. Is that where it was? Or was it somewhere else? I thought it was, oh, maybe it wasn't there. There was somewhere, in one of the articles I was reading, it talked about that he can retaliate if they retaliate. So maybe they'll go up even more. The Washington Post points out that more than half of goods classified as automotive vehicles, parts, and engines in the U.S. come from Canada and Mexico. Canada was also the main exporter of industrial supplies to the U.S., including building supplies, oil and metal materials, including building supplies, oil, and metal materials used to manufacture other products. Cars are often made between the U.S. and its closest neighbors, and parts go back and forth across the border during the manufacturing process. The tariffs will make it more attractive to manufacture and assemble cars in the United States, said an expert that Washington Post talked to. He expects car companies may have to readjust their strategy, perhaps making versions of cars with fewer bells and whistles to keep costs under control. Many other industries, says the Washington Post, also rely on parts and materials made internationally, even if the final product is made in the United States. Also, the majority of America's avocado supply comes from Mexico, as well as a sizable amount of tequila and most of the imported beer Americans drink. The U.S. imported $9.9 billion worth of vegetables and more than $11 billion worth of fruit and frozen juices from Mexico in 2023. A food economist and professor at Michigan State University told the Washington Post the proposed tariffs would have a significant impact on food prices. Also, China is the main source of imported consumer goods in the U.S., sending about $210 billion worth of everyday household items into the U.S. in 2023, says the Washington Post. That means electronics such as cell phones, apparel such as cotton shirts and shoes, and children's toys could be subject to tariffs higher than they are now. "15 minutes. Breaking news. 15 minutes. If Trump is going to announce that the tariffs are not happening, we only have 15 minutes for that to happen." Our viewer Stuartron says, I was only worried about recession, but it's clear depression is coming. Quick thanks to Ron Dykeman. Thank you, Ron. Also, Melly Jane, our member. Linda Gordon, our member, who says, do not buy up all the toilet paper, not imported. Thank you, Ron, for the gift memberships, by the way. That's really nice of you, Ron Dykeman. Thank you also, Marshmallow, our member. B-Man, who says, Canada, USA, Mexico don't need China, Russia. Thank you to also Midnight Expose Media, who says it's like waiting for a New Year's Eve ball to drop on Y2K, but the glitch is real this time. Michael for Reals thinks Trump can announce in the morning that the tariffs are off. Would Trump really do that? I don't know how that would, that doesn't feel very Trumpy to me. Do you think Trump would just tomorrow say, okay, the tariffs are off. They've been on for one day. I don't know. That doesn't feel, maybe he will. It doesn't really feel very Trumpy to me. I mean, he can do whatever he wants. Tony Bridson says, of course he would, anything for attention. Jay Yotke, said he might. Hannah says, no way. Uresco says, I think Trump will let this cook for way too long. One of our viewers said he would. Jimmy says he would announce it tonight to save the stock market. I don't know. I know the stock market went down a bunch today in the U.S. I don't know that people had completely priced in the thought that he's going to do it. I mean, I'm sure. I won't believe it's happening until 12 minutes and 30 seconds from now. I would think that there was still uncertainty, and there's people saying, well, I guess there's a bigger chance he'll do it. But I mean, I bet a bunch of people were just like, a bunch of investors were like, well, he'll probably tonight just announce they're off. 12 minutes until these new tariffs and new tariffs on China. 12 minutes. Ghost of Your Fears said Trump already said there's nothing they can do to stop the tariffs. I think he said that a month ago before he gave them a reprieve. Wow. Easy Bake Jen sent me something claiming there's a bunch of tariffs already from Canada on the U.S. Look, I know there's a big free trade agreement with Canada, U.S., and Mexico. There might be tariffs some sort of tariffs that they each charge each other on particular products. I don't know what they are, but this would be a huge deal. Also, Trump has never said that he is putting these tariffs on Mexico and Canada in exchange for tariffs that they charge on the U.S. Rather, he has emphasized saying that these tariffs are because Canada and Mexico are not doing enough, he says, to fight fentanyl coming into the country and fight illegal immigration coming into the country. Alex Malarkey, our viewer, writes in and says, I voted for Trump all 3 times, but combined with trying to make Ukraine surrender, it seems the tariffs are the next step towards making the U.S. a hermit country. That's what Alex said. Collected Chaos said, could mass layoffs occur? Well, it just depends on what happens to the economy. I mean, how long are these tariffs going to happen? What do other countries do in retaliation? What happens to the economy? I mean, I don't know. But we've seen a lot of experts say that they think there's serious risk to the economy from this. It's not going to lower prices. I don't know what's going to happen. I can't tell you how bad, how much of a difference it's going to make, but I've seen certainly a lot of predictions saying it's going to raise prices for people. It's going to have companies make less money because they're going to have to pay more for their inputs. Human thinks it could be catastrophic for some people. Sunday, Florida said, Trump said, I didn't hear this. Trump said that if Doug Ford cut off electricity, American tech hosting would cut off cloud services. Do you see where this is going? Again, I know Doug Ford of Ontario talked about cutting off electricity to the U.S. That right now, I don't really know if that's going to happen. Oh, by the way, I saw somebody, Sunday, Florida said that. I saw somebody posted something like that on X too, but I don't know. Again, I don't know if that's really going to happen. I have not heard Trump say something in response to that, though. But I mean, who knows? Maybe he said it at some point. I'm not sure. I can't really intelligently comment on that. One of our viewers said it's something that push comes to shove. Artful Nothing says push comes to shove, that'll happen. I have no idea how long these tariffs will be on for. Well, if we're getting really right down to the end, guys, 7 minutes and 37 seconds for something to happen. I'm checking Trump's Truth Social right now. There's nothing there. He hasn't posted in 9 hours. More than 9 hours. His last post was about Melania Trump. Over 9 hours ago. Seven minutes and 10 seconds. NorCal Jim says the final countdown. Wow. Hey, thanks to Macro Geek for the gift memberships. Thank you. Oops, get that off. There's a headline from today. Trump locks in Canada-Mexico tariffs to launch on Tuesday. Stocks tumble. AK says, mark this, recession economic collapse 2.0, 2008 2.0. Thanks for your support. Thanks also, AK. Thanks, Don Coven. Don Coven says, a lot of damage already done. Don says, I bet Trump posts at 11:59. He could. He could. I better start refreshing Trump's. I better start refreshing a lot Trump's social, Trump's True Social. Thank you, Jay, for your support. Jay says you're covering Trump's presidency way more than you did Biden's. Look, I cover when big news happens. So I cover when big news happens. I don't care who the president is. Maybe there's been more big news. I think things tended to be a bit more quiet when Biden was president. But I was on a bunch when stuff with Biden happened, when it happened. Thank you, Boomer Wow, as well, who said, if Ford cuts power temporarily, some people will die, then we'd invade and take control. These are bad things to wish for. Five minutes. We have, are these really going to go into effect? 25% on all goods from Mexico coming to the U.S. 25%. 25% on everything except energy from coming into the U.S. from Canada. 10% on energy. An additional 10% blanket tariff, as I understand it, on all goods from China after 10% was imposed a month ago. This was such a huge story a month and a half ago. I feel like it's being covered so much way less now, but it's the same tariffs. It's actually more because the China is on top of the 10% from a month ago. This is huge. This is a huge story, folks. We're 4 minutes and 11 seconds away. It's the headline on the Wall Street Journal, I'll tell you that. I bet it's the headline on Bloomberg, too. Yup, Bloomberg headline, Trump's new tariffs on China, Mexico, Canada to take effect. I know my headline says Canada and Mexico, but there's also China as well. Maybe what I'll do, I'm going to do this with 3.5 minutes. I'm going to say tariffs on China, Canada, and Mexico. Well, but there's already, you know what? I'm going to leave it because there's already ones on China. It's going to be more China thariffs. Whereas these are, the Canada and Mexico ones are new. Well, guys, 3 minutes. I'm checking Trump's Truth Social again. 3 minutes. Will we see Trump post something at the last second, at the very last second, that'll prevent these from coming into effect? Karen Nelson says, I turn 64 soon and this sucks. Mort says, what a year this has been so far. One of our viewers said, we love tariffs. Great job, Trump. Dirk says, crazy. Wow, it's really going to happen, I think. I don't know. It's really close to happening. 2 minutes and 24 seconds. One of our viewers said, Walmart is toast. One of our viewers says, countdown. ShadowNet says, countdown to inflation. We are so close. This was such a huge deal to everyone a month and a half ago. A month ago. It's the same tariffs. 2 minutes. Less than 2 minutes until 25% tariffs on Mexican goods coming to the U.S. 25% on Canada goods coming to the U.S., except for energy, which is 10%. And a whole additional 10% on Chinese goods coming to the U.S. 140. Wow. I got to prepare an alternate headline. I'm refreshing Trump's Truth Social. I don't know, guys. If he's going to post something, he better post it soon. We are at 1 minute and 4 seconds. 1 minute and 1 second. 1 minute. We are at less than a minute until the Trump tariffs begin on Canada and Mexico, and the first retaliatory tariffs from Canada go into effect on the U.S. at the same time. 45 seconds. 40 seconds. I'm refreshing Truth Social. I see nothing. Not there. Nothing there on Truth Social. I haven't seen anything new from the White House. 29 seconds. I see nothing. I see nothing. I'm refreshing Truth Social again. Nothing. 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11. Nothing on Truth Social. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The Trump tariffs have begun. Breaking news. Breaking news. Trump tariffs begin on Canada and Mexico, and also new tariffs on China. He really did it. He really did it. I got to get rid of the clock now. I got to change the headline. He really did it. Wow. Wow. I did not know that this was going to happen. I wasn't sure. I mean, I thought there was a decent chance he would just not do it. But, hang on a second here. Let me just get this arranged here. New Trump tariffs begin. Wow. No, it's not tariffs, it's tariffs. Can I get the headline up on the screen? There we go. Okay. Wow, guys. All right, let me just fix the headline here. Let me fix the headline on the other screens. Wow, it really happened. They are in effect. Anyone even posting about this? I was going to repost something. I don't even see anybody posting about it. I'm going to have to post about it myself. Unusual Whales posted about it, so I'll repost their post. Whew. All right, let's talk about this. Oh, let me just fix the headline. I don't even have a story to post about it yet. Hang on a sec. I want to read your comments too. This has really happened. It's really happened, guys. It really has happened. All right, here we go. So I got to fix this. All right, so I got to fix this headline here. Get rid of the clock. Fix the headline. It's a whole new world. Are we now in a trade war? Are we now in a trade war? Now this isn't working. What's happening here? I got to fix this thing. Everything's wrong. Are we in a trade war? Stop doing this. Stop doing this. Hold on, I got to fix it. It keeps saying breaking news. I don't want that to keep happening. There, I fixed it. I'm going to take some comments here. The tariffs have begun. Any chance he's posted about this? Or is he just... Trump has not posted for like 10 hours on Truth Social. Unbelievable. Josh Wingrove from Bloomberg says the North American tariff war has arrived. Trump did not call off his planned tariffs, and they've gone into effect, as have the first retaliatory ones from Canada. No response yet from Mexico. Trump has doubled his China tariff. I'm going to read this one more time. Actually, you know what I should do? I'm going to put a red headline up. I'm going to put the red headline up so you guys can see the details. New Trump tariffs have come into effect at 12:01 a.m. ET. 25% on all goods entering U.S. from Mexico. 25% on all goods entering U.S. from Canada, except energy, which is 10%, an additional 10% on all goods entering U.S. from China, on top of the 10% tariff from a month ago. So 20% total. Wow. I'm putting it on the screen right now. Look, there it is. Crazy. It really happened. It really happened. It's been a long time since there was a story that I thought was this important and could be this impactful, that I thought was not being covered in proportion to its importance. There you go. Trump's long-threatened tariffs against Canada and Mexico are now in effect, kicking off trade war. Kicking off trade war, says AP. I know, I got to read some of your comments. Hold on a second here. Let me just, been trying to change the headline and update everything for you. There. Where's this? Oopsie. Kicking off trade war. Damien Wins says, what a world global circus this is. LBC says, let's get this party started. Is that even working anymore? Hold on. I gotta get rid of this thing. Oopsie. Let me get rid of this. One of my things, I think there were too many chat messages. Broke one of my chat windows. I got to reset it. Okay, I got to reset one of my chat windows so I can see again. There it is. Let's see here. Peter thinks none of us chose this. Even Trump voters weren't motivated by the prospect of import taxes. Eddie Collins says, time to buy American only. By the Sea says, inflation has increased. Congratulations. Did Bitcoin move either way, or did it just basically stay the same when this happened? I got to check. I mean, Bitcoin is basically where it was a little while ago. 84,422. I mean, went down a bunch today, but I'll show you there. It went up yesterday when Trump posted about a strategic crypto reserve, but then it lost its gains. Wow, amazing. AP says President Trump's long-threatened tariffs against Canada and Mexico finally went into effect Tuesday, putting global markets on edge and setting up costly retaliations by the United States, North American allies. And don't forget, blanket 10% more tariffs on China. That just happened. Everything from China in the US now has a 10% more tariff on it. Everything. Wow. When this ends up being a bigger deal, you can all tell me, maybe you were right in that this was not getting covered as much as it deserved. Sevenfold thinks Trudeau is eating filet mignon in fine wine while the rest of us are tightening our belts in Canada. Thank you to Sevenfold for your support, by the way. Thanks also to ZB for your support, Mufasa, who says, I was just about to buy a new car. Maybe I should wait. I don't know how long it would take prices to go up. I mean, I read you an article where one expert said he or she thought the prices of cars in the U.S. would go up by like $2,500 on average. But I don't know. Maybe your specific model isn't affected. I can't say. It's a good question, though. Thank you to Tecmo, who says Trump likes to build walls. And thanks Bebop and Rocksteady, and also Grevin Share. Grevin Share says next countdown is to the occupation of Canada. Thanks also Greg Pondell for the gift memberships. Thanks Captain Jerry Donnelly. I don't know why it was Eastern time. That's just, the way they did it. They could have picked something else, but that's the one they picked. Thanks Beth Ann, who says Wayne Gretzky for Governor of Canada. Thank you Boomer Wow. You can see here, AP says, starting just past midnight, imports from Canada and Mexico are now to be taxed at 25%, with Canadian energy products getting tariffed at 10%. In addition, the 10% tariff that Trump placed on all Chinese imports in February is doubling to 20%. In response, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said his country would slap tariffs on more than $100 billion of American goods over the course of 21 days. The first batch of those tariffs on American goods from Canada has already come into effect when the U.S. tariffs came into effect. Mexico and China have not yet immediately detailed any retaliatory measures. The president's moves raised fears of higher inflation and the prospect of a devastating trade war, even as he promised the American public that taxes on imports are the easiest path to national prosperity. He has shown a willingness to buck the warnings of mainstream economists and put his own public approval on the line, believing that tariffs can fix what ails the country. Trump said today it's a very powerful weapon that politicians haven't used because they were either dishonest, stupid, or paid off in some other form. And now we are using them. The stated reason for the tariffs is to address drug trafficking and illegal immigration, and both countries say they've made progress on both those issues. But Trump has also said the tariffs will only come down if the U.S. trade imbalance closes, a process unlikely to be settled on a political timeline. There is the possibility of the tariffs being short-lived if the U.S. economy suffers, just as there is the possibility of more tariffs to come on the EU, India, computer chips, autos, and pharmaceutical drugs, as Trump has promised. He said there's going to be a bunch new tariffs on April 2nd on a bunch of different countries. President Trump has injected a disorienting volatility into the world economy, leaving it off balance as people wonder what he'll do next, says AP. Michael House, co-chair of the international trade practice at Perkins Cole Law Firm, said it's chaotic, especially compared to the way we saw tariffs rolled out in the first Trump administration. It's unpredictable. We don't know, in fact, what the president will do. Democratic lawmakers were quick to criticize tariffs, but even some Republican senators raised alarms. Senator Susan Collins of Maine said she's very concerned about the tariffs going into effect because of her state's proximity to Canada. She said Maine's and Canada's economy are integrated. We saw a tweet about a month ago from Chuck Grassley, Iowa senator, Republican, who wanted President Trump to exclude potash from the tariffs because I believe around 80% of what is the number? I read you that before. Was it 80% of Iowa farmers of potash is it 80% of all farmers or 80% of Iowa farmers? 80% of the potash is imported to the US from Canada or imported to Iowa from Canada. Either way, Chuck Grassley was saying, and that's important in fertilizer. And he was saying that he was hoping President Trump would exempt potash because it's going to cost Iowa farmers more. Yeah, the U.S. imports more than 80% of its potash, a key compound used in fertilizer, from Canada. That's from Iowa Public Radio. Remember, it's not just things you might go to the store and buy. If there's an American company of any sort, a car company, some other company, that gets some of their raw materials that they use to make their products from Mexico or Canada or China, well, their cost just went up. Imagine you have a business and you make something and something that you use in your product comes from China or Canada or Mexico. Your cost just went up. I'm seeing something. Hold on. Breaking news. AFP news agency. China says it will impose a 15% tariff on imports of chicken, wheat, corn, and cotton from the U.S. Breaking news. Breaking news. China announces a retaliation. Breaking news. Let me see if I can get that for you. China retaliation. Hang on a moment. I bet I can get it on their site. What ministry is it? Is it Ministry of Agriculture? Of Trade? Wow. Big news. I want to try to find the actual statement, if I can. For whatever reason, this is not doing that. All right, let me just read this again. According to AFP, I'm going to read this headline again to you. China says it will impose a 15% tariff on imports from the U.S. of chicken, wheat, corn, and cotton. Breaking news. Oh, also, I'm seeing more. I'm seeing more about China. I'm seeing more about China. Shanghai Daily, official English language newspaper in Shanghai, says 15% China will impose starting March 10th. Starting March 10th, that is 6 days from now, China will impose additional tariffs on U.S. imports, select U.S. imports. 15% on chicken, wheat, corn, and cotton. 10% on soybeans, pork, beef, seafood, fruits, vegetables, dairy, and sorghum. I bet I can get you the actual original announcement. Sorghum is a cereal grain. Sorghum. It is a grain. I think I can get you the original announcement from China. China has announced retaliatory tariffs. Okay, can I find it here? Let's see. I have it. I have the announcement from China. I'm going to do translation on it right now. Here it is. From the China Ministry of Finance. Announcement of... Hold on. This is happening. Uh-oh, I might have to do this again. Are we good? No? Something's happening. Let's try this again. There we go. Announcement of the State Council's Tariff Commission on imposing tariffs on some imported goods originating in the U.S. China has announced retaliatory tariffs. On March 3rd, this just happened, the U.S. government announced that it would further impose a 10% tariff on all Chinese goods imported to the U.S. on the grounds of fentanyl, meaning that China was not stopping fentanyl. To coming into the U.S. The U.S.'s unilateral tariff imposition has damaged the multilateral trading system, worsened the burden on U.S. companies and consumers, and undermined the foundation of economic and trade cooperation between China and the U.S. In accordance with the tariff law of the People's Republic of China, customs law of the People's Republic of China, foreign trade law of the People's Republic of China, and other laws and regulations and the basic principles of international law, with the approval of the State Council, tariffs will be imposed on some imported goods originating from the U.S. on March 10th, 2025, 6 days from now. The relevant matters are as follows. 1. An additional 15% is imposed on chicken, wheat, corn, and cotton. 2. A 10% tariff will be imposed on sorghum, soybeans, pork, beef, aquatic products, fruits, vegetables, and dairy products. 3. For imported goods listed in the annex originating from the United States, corresponding tariffs will be imposed on the basis of the current applicable tariff rates. I don't know what this means. The current bonded and exempted tax policies will remain unchanged, and the tariffs imposed this time will not be reduced or exempted. 4. If the goods have been shipped from the place of departure before March 10th and imported from March 10th to April 12th, the tariffs imposed shall not be imposed. So, I guess if they've already been shipped before March 10th and then they arrive before April 12th, then the tariffs don't apply to them. Well, there you go, guys. That's from the Ministry of Finance of the People's Republic of China. Now, I wonder, how much does the U.S. export to China of these things? I'm going to check right now. This seems like a job for AI. Maybe I'll ask ChatGPT. How much of these goods are imported to the China by China from U.S.? I'm asking ChatGPT. So, for example, wheat, it says in 2023 to 2024, China ranked first in wheat imports globally, while exact figures of U.S. wheat exports to China are not detailed. U.S. wheat sales to China were the highest in 3 years, suggesting a significant trade volume. I'm trying to get a feel on what might be the most impactful. But we have retaliatory tariffs by China. Hang on a moment here. I'm going to read you again what maybe, you know what? Maybe some of like the U.S. financial publications would have a good sense of what might be the most impactful. Of those. Give me a moment here. Thanks for your patience. Thank you for your patience. Bloomberg is reporting something about it. So Gemini AI says the U.S. is a significant exporter of agricultural products to China. Soybeans have historically been a major U.S. export to China. They also, Gemini says pork and poultry products also see significant trade. And grains like corn and wheat and cotton are also important components as well. They also say chicken as well. Hang on one moment. Yes, so Bloomberg has a headline, Beijing retaliates after Trump levies hit China, Canada, and Mexico. Oh, there's something else too. China, Bloomberg says China bans Illumina from selling gene mapping products in China. A California-based biotech firm. I don't know much about this, but that just got announced. So again, Bloomberg is reporting. My guess is that there's some, this is not a coincidence that's being announced right after the tariffs were announced on China by the U.S. When the tariffs came into effect. I don't think it's coincidence that this is being announced right after those tariffs came into effect on China. Again, China has banned the California-based biotech firm Illumina from selling gene sequencing products. And let's see here. And so what happened is in February, according to Bloomberg, in February, if I have this right, China blacklisted the company as part of a series of retaliatory actions for the initial tariffs Trump put on China, the first 10% last month. Now, I wonder, why did they pick Illumina? Is anyone involved in Illumina close to Trump, or is it like a sign that they could target like this industry? I don't know. I'm sure there's more here. But that was just reported by Bloomberg. Let's see here. Oh, okay. Hold on a second. Hang on. Bloomberg says Illumina which is based in San Diego, leads the industry in decoding DNA. Beijing has now banned it from selling its products in China. China has banned, I just want to post this here, San Diego-based Illumina. Hang on a second here. The industry leader in decoding DNA. From selling its gene mapping products in China. One more thing about that. So Bloomberg says when China said in February that they were blacklisting Illumina, there was some doubt about the significance of this. They have, I guess, some kind of list of companies, and they say that many of the entities on that company, on that list, have not really been affected so far. And Bloomberg is saying that by banning the sale of this San Diego company Illumina, of their products in China, they are basically showing how serious they are. And there are more companies they could do that with. That is what Bloomberg is saying. Also, Bloomberg says, I mentioned to you that China has imposed retaliatory tariffs starting March 10th on a bunch of agricultural products coming from the US, right? As we showed you before, this is literally from the Ministry of Finance, from the People's Republic of China. They said an additional 15% tariff on all American chicken, wheat, corn, and cotton. An additional and a 10% tariff on all American sorghum, soybeans, pork, beef, aquatic products, fruits, vegetables, and dairy products. Okay? So Bloomberg says that that it was expected that China would retaliate against U.S. agricultural products, but the breadth of the retaliation is wider than expected and includes major crops like soybeans, corn, and sorghum. So apparently these are significant tariffs on these American agricultural products. And now I don't know what the impact of this will be on U.S. farmers. I have no idea. I'm going to take some comments from you guys. Big news here. I'm going to add to our China has announced 10 to 15% retaliatory tariffs on a number of U.S. agricultural products. I'll just throw that in there. I'm not going to give the details on the ticker there. China was ready. They came right out with that announcement. They came right out with it after the new tariffs on them. By the way, real quick, just want to say thanks to Brian Beelman. Thanks so much for your support. Who says, have my options. Thank you, Brian Beelman. I appreciate that. Also, Sergey. Sergey thinks grocery prices are going to shoot up since we got to let it go. Since we get a lot of fruits and vegetables from Mexico and Canada, we can't grow it all here. Thanks, Fahrenheit 451, who says, I remember when you were covering Corona-19 when it became COVID. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the impacts of this going to be. I've said a number of times in this stream. I've been saying it the last couple of days. I think I couldn't believe that this story wasn't being covered more. I think it's a huge story. And it was being covered a lot a month and a half ago. And then Trump delayed the tariffs for a month, but it's the same tariffs. So, as I said, I've been saying it repeatedly. It feels like a story to me where the coverage is not commensurate with the potential impact on people and the actual impact it's going to have. It's a huge story. Thank you. Hey, Brian Beelman, thanks for all your support. Really, really appreciate it. ZB, thank you. Yeah, I'll check the Canadian website there. They had released an announcement. Canada already released an announcement saying they have a bunch of tariffs they're going to impose in retaliation, but only like a quarter or a fifth of them get initially imposed, and then the rest of them get imposed by 3 weeks from now. So that's what they had said is going to happen with Canada. I'll show you that again, though. Thank you also, Tecmo and ZB. And big thanks to our moderators. I really appreciate it. We have, for example, Good Luck Duck. I Got That Fire, A Moment of Lovely, Matthew Kohai 3, Sarah, Papa Bear, and Surly Dev, thank you. Also, thanks so much to Paper City Gamer for your support on Twitch, and the Moist Bama Fox, and Starchface for subscribing, and Fish Tacos for subscribing, and Bohica LOL for subscribing, and Shaggy for subscribing. Also, thanks Kay Lowry Body, Margaret Riley, Paul Anderson for modding, Linda Belk, Misha, Larry, thank you. And thanks to Zeppelin. And then you don't know how much is this trade war going to ramp up? Is Trump going to respond to the China tariffs? See how the stock market does. I mean, the stock futures on CNN's site they're up a little bit, Dow 0.17%. Are Dow futures trading right now? Do they trade 24 hours or do they stop? Do U.S. stock futures trade 24 hours or do they take a break? Oh, not 24 hours, but all of the time that the market is not open, are they trading? They're a little up. Eric says they are trading right now. Most of our viewers are saying yes. Trying to get an answer for you. The stock market itself is not open in the U.S. I mean, one thing I got from Perplexity says they trade, the Dow futures trade nearly 24 hours a day, 5 days a week. All right. Anyways, we'll see what happens. Oh, I was going to show you the Canada thing too. You know, something else we should keep in mind, which I was just reminded of, was that Mexico has not yet announced what they're going to do for retaliation. But I assume they might announce something today, later today. Now, I will say this. Bloomberg thinks that the Chinese countermeasures look largely muted, with the targeted U.S. companies having minimal exposure to the world's second largest economy. But, I mean, they do say there are some significant tariffs on U.S. agricultural products. Also, Chinese state media has warned that they would take tariff and non-tariff measures against Washington. So, who knows what other measures China might take here? We'll have to see. Bloomberg noted that China did not impose further restrictions on the export of critical minerals or other metals from China. Ruvi says, late night meeting in Canada. Let me show you, sorry. Here, I said I was going to show you this. So we read this before, but this is Prime Minister Trudeau made this statement earlier tonight, saying, today, after a 30-day pause, the U.S. administration has decided to proceed with imposing 25% tariffs on Canadian exports and 10% tariffs on Canadian energy. Let me be unequivocally clear. There is no justification for these actions, he says. While less than 1% of the fentanyl intercepted at the U.S. border comes from Canada, we have worked relentlessly to address this scourge that affects Canadians and Americans alike. Remember, Trump has said that he is imposing tariffs on Canada and Mexico, one, because they're allowing too much fentanyl to come across the border, and two, because they're not doing enough to stop illegal immigration coming across the border. He said, we have implemented a $1.3 billion border plan with new choppers, boots on the ground, more coordination, and increased resources to stop the flow of fentanyl. We have appointed a fentanyl czar, listed transnational criminal cartels as terrorist organizations, launched the Joint Operational Intelligence Cell, and are establishing a Canada-U.S. Joint Strike Force on Organized Crime. Because of this work, in partnership with the U.S., fentanyl seizures from Canada have dropped 97% between December and January to a near low of 0.03 pounds seized by U.S. Customs and Border Protection. Canada will not let this unjustified decision go unanswered, he says. Should American tariffs come into effect tonight, which they now have, Canada will, effective 12:01 a.m., which has already passed, respond with a 25% tariff against $155 billion of American goods, starting with tariffs on $30 billion Canadian of American goods immediately, and tariffs on the remaining $125 billion worth would be in 21 days' time. Our tariffs will remain in place until U.S. trade action is withdrawn, and should U.S. trade tariffs not cease, we are in active and ongoing discussions with provinces and territories to pursue several non-tariff measures. While we urge the U.S. administration to reconsider their tariffs, Canada remains firm in standing up for our economy, our jobs, our workers, and for a fair deal. Because of the tariffs imposed by the U.S., Americans will pay more for groceries, gas, and cars, and potentially lose thousands of jobs. Tariffs will disrupt an incredibly successful trading relationship. They will violate the very trade agreement that was negotiated by President Trump in his last term in 2020. That was the successor to NAFTA. I forget the abbreviation. U.S.-Mexico-Canada Agreement, USMCA. So that was the response earlier tonight from Prime Minister Trudeau. How is this going to impact the U.S. economy? You can see here, Reuters says trade wars erupt as Trump hits Canada, Mexico, China with steep tariffs. Lee Nussbaum thinks inflation up, costs up. Reload Your Gun says not much. Wee Sleuth says Trump doing too much. Hopefully there's no repercussions. Forest Sea Blue says who benefits from this? Why do you want Canada to suffer? I Beat Kasparov says I have a good feeling about this. Bart Keck says all companies moving back to U.S. Lori L says farmers are finished. Leekma Bowl says nobody cares about their maple syrup. Celeste thinks this won't last long. Deals will be made. Okay, I'm going to do a poll. We're going to do a poll about how long the China and how long the Canada and Mexico tariffs will last. I have to pick one though. How long will the Canada tariffs last? I'm going to give you three choices. 0 to 1 month, 1 to 2 months, and more. Those are your three choices. These are the tariffs by the U.S. on Canada. How long will they last? I'm going to post this else in the other. I have to post it on the different platforms. I have to post it on every platform. I have to post it separately. How long will the U.S. tariffs on Canada last? 0 to 1 month, 1 to 2 months, longer. Okay, I just posted that on Twitch. And last but not least, I will post it over on Facebook. And then we will see what you guys said. I mean, are we going to be talking about these tariffs a year from now? You know, I have no idea. But somebody had said deals will be made, so we'll see if that happens. Okay, I'm posting it now on... No, where is it here? Okay, so I asked you guys, how long will the tariffs be in place on... Nope, I didn't want to do that. Canada. So our viewers in YouTube say 29% say 0 to 1 month. 18% say 1 to 2 months. 54% say more than 2 months. Over on Facebook, 20% say 0 to 1 month. 0 say 1 to 2 months. 80% say longer. Our viewers are pretty pessimistic about this. And on Twitch, I thought you guys were going to say shorter. And on Twitch, 62% say longer than 2 months. 23% say 0 to 1 month. 15% say 1 to 2 months. So the majority of you think it's going longer than 2 months. Catherine Sigurdsson says, if I can go back and see it, as a Canadian, I'm watching Trump turn Americans on Canada like it's all our fault. I won't forget. Vivian says tariff will affect American consumers. Alex BZ says you have informed viewers, meaning the viewers are informed. Thanks, JRW fan, who says from U of Ottawa today. I haven't seen this. JRW says there's something from the U of Ottawa that said U.S. tariffs could lead to an economic recession, job losses, and a weaker Canadian dollar. You mean in Canada? Hopefully this all ends soon. Yeah, certainly this could negatively impact Canada's economy and Mexico's economy. Certainly. I'm glad you brought that up. We probably should talk about that more. By the way, thank you, Gringo, for being a member. Gringo says, bad move for all, pathetic. Thank you to Zeppelin for your support. Silver Shadow thinks this isn't as bad as you think. Douthis says nobody wins in a trade war. We'll have to see how things develop. You're not going to see all the effects overnight. How are things going to develop over time? Sentient Cannabis says it's going to be bad for everyone's economy. All right, thanks for voting in our poll. Wow, it really happened. He really did it. I wonder if anything like I buy regularly. I don't know what products I buy either come from, a lot of them. There might be products I buy regularly, like in the grocery store, that I don't even realize will be impacted by this. Reuters says the tariff actions, President Trump announced President Trump's new 25% tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico took effect on Tuesday, along with a doubling of imports on Chinese goods to 20%. Following launching new trade conflicts with the top U.S. trading partners. Like, I wonder, like, if I needed a new computer and I needed to go buy it now, would it be more expensive than it was 3 months ago? My guess is maybe yes. China responded immediately, announcing additional 10 to 15% tariffs on U.S. imports. Certain U.S. imports in a series of new export restrictions for designated U.S. entities. Yeah, this says here also. As I read you the original announcement from China, but March 10th is when the Chinese retaliatory tariffs go into effect. Monica Avant thinks they will build factories here. Our viewer Headland says, stores will bump the prices to match the tariffs. Headland thinks, I think everything is going to go up. The stores are going to bump the prices to match the tariffs, so everything is going up, not just imported. That's what Headland claims. Again, Ontario Premier Doug Ford told NBC he was ready to cut off shipments of nickel and transmission of electricity from his province to the U.S. in retaliation. I don't know if that's going to happen. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum was expected to announce her response during a morning news conference in Mexico City. So we'll find out this morning how Mexico is going to respond. Do you know the cumulative 20% on all China's products announced over the last 2 months from Trump comes on top of tariffs of up to 25% imposed by Trump during his first term on some $370 billion worth of U.S. imports. Some of these products saw U.S. tariffs increase sharply under former President Biden last year, including a doubling of duties on Chinese semiconductors to 50% and a quadrupling of tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles to over 100%. So you might read these articles about how China, companies like BYD, I believe it is, are producing these electric vehicles that are very competitively priced and popular in China. And you might say, why don't we see those here? Well, my guess is a big reason you don't see them here in the U.S. is that the tariff on them is over 100%. The 20%, the new 20% tariff, it was 10% a month ago, now it's 20%, on Chinese goods will apply to several major U.S. consumer electronics imports from China previously untouched by prior duties, including smartphones, laptops, video game consoles, smartwatches, and speakers and Bluetooth devices. Recession fears. The tariffs on Mexican and Canadian products could have much deeper repercussions for a highly integrated North American economy that depends on cross-border shipments to build cars and machinery, refine energy, and process agricultural goods. Ivy says, my smartwatch says made in Taiwan, so in theory that wouldn't be tariffed. But when they say it's made in Taiwan, I mean, I don't know the whole supply chain. Like if the parts go, maybe some of their parts will be more expensive, just based on how the parts are made and what countries those come from. I'm not sure. What about coffee prices? I don't know how much coffee we get from different countries. By the way, remember, Trump also says he's going to, there's going to be new tariffs on April 2nd on a bunch of other things. Retaliatory tariffs on countries and also tariffs on other goods. So there's more tariffs to come. Supposedly. The Washington Post mentioned that the U.S. is coffee from Mexico, its top export market is the U.S. So that could increase coffee prices some in the U.S. I'm looking at a chart right now from the Washington Post, and it says America's top sources of green coffee imports. And Mexico is there's Brazil, Colombia, Honduras, Guatemala, Nicaragua, Vietnam, and then Mexico. One of our viewers thinks, Calum Anderson thinks Canada will put a 100% tariff on Tesla and remove them for BYD. Oh, is there some social media post by the White House or something? Hang on a second here. Is there? Hang on. I haven't seen anything after midnight from the White House. Oh, I got it right here. President Trump proceeds with tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico. This actually came out yesterday, I think. I just hadn't seen it. So this is a White House statement here. They say President Trump is proceeding with these tariffs on Canada and Mexico to combat the extraordinary threat to U.S. national security, including our public health, posed by unchecked drug trafficking. The White House says Canada and Mexico has not adequately addressed the situation of drugs coming into the U.S. Also, they talk about, I'm not going to read all of this. Both nations' failure to arrest traffickers, seize drugs, or coordinate with U.S. law enforcement constitutes an unusual and extraordinary threat to America's security, demanding IEEPA action to force accountability and protect American lives. So maybe they really need to emphasize the drug stuff, because the law they're using to impose the tariffs is the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. Also, they say President Trump is keeping his promise to stop the flood of illegal aliens and drugs. OB Clutch says promises made, promises kept. I mean, I'm looking at the Asia markets. They're not down that much. I don't know how much of this was priced in before. I mean, Nikkei, the Japanese Nikkei index is down 1.5%, but I'm looking at a bunch of other indexes that are not down that much, down a little bit. Malaysia, 0.88%. Kospi, which I think is Korea, isn't it? Down 0.1%. It's not really huge numbers. Shanghai Composite up 0.9%. We'll have to see what happens with the U.S. stocks. We'll have to see where all this goes. I just don't even know where all this is going. But it's a huge deal. Sarah says, give them a couple days. I don't think we're going to be on the air covering it because we've been up late tonight. But there's supposed to be a viewers told me about a Canada press conference at 10:30 a.m. Yes, Canada press conference at 10:30 a.m. with Trudeau, and also at 8:30 a.m. Mexico's president is holding a press conference, 8:30 Eastern time, where she's expected to give some details about Mexico's response. Our viewer Aaron Paris says, "Give it a couple months, then you'll feel the tariffs." Our viewer Karen Moore says, "I think just like Trump told Zelensky he believes he has the cards. He doesn't believe anyone could do anything in retaliation for this that is worse than what he's doing. Delusions of grandeur." Beth Malarkey says, "The U.S. gets a lot of really important medical supplies from China. My son has a trach, T-R-A-C-H, which is made in China. Horrible." She's saying those will go up in price. A tracheostomy tube, I guess, or trach. Yeah, I mean, everything from China has now been tariffed 20% since a month ago, basically. Sports card collector says, "I'm confident Trump knows what he's doing. Things are developing rapidly. Who knows what tomorrow will look like?" That's what sports card collector says. Gunny's Adventures says, "Keep an eye on further tariffs and countermeasures. This trade battle is far from over." Also, Gunny's Adventures thinks if the U.S. and China don't de-escalate, the average American will likely feel the squeeze through inflation, job losses, and economic uncertainty. Jarrett Nash thinks a portion of tariffs is always absorbed by the exporter. They have to do so to remain competitive against domestic production or to discourage expansion of domestic production. You're saying you think some exporters will lower their price so the final price will be competitive? I don't know. That's what Jarrett says. So I'm just checking some of the messages people have been sending. Hang on. Just going through some things people are sending me. All right. Well, they've begun. The tariffs have begun. They have begun. Guys, I'm feeling a little worn out. This is our 4th stream of the day. There's been so much news today. What did we cover? We covered Trump's investment announcement, but he also had like this kind of mini press conference. We covered that. Then we covered the SpaceX launch, where it didn't actually launch. 40 seconds before it was going to launch, it paused and they never launched. Then we covered Trump pausing all military aid to Ukraine. And then we covered these new tariffs, which have just started. And who knows where this is all going. So, yeah, I'm feeling a little worn out right now. And I'm sure we'll cover this stuff more. I think I'm going to have to start wrapping up this stream. But I really appreciate you guys joining me for this live tariffs countdown stream. I didn't know. I thought Trump might come at the last minute and say, that's it, we've reached a deal. But he didn't. They've really begun. So we're going to see how this could play out over weeks, over months. This could play out over years, all this tariff stuff. So we're going to just have to see where this is all going. Tyler Green says it's been very depressing. It's all minor. He thinks it'll take over a year to play out. By the way, thanks to Steppenwolf for your support, and Angel Mendez for being a member. Angel Mendez thinks companies will price gouge, affected or not. Hey, so we will certainly be covering more news in the coming days. I'm sure there's going to be more big news. But for now, I think we're going to start wrapping this up. So again, I really appreciate you guys joining me for this live stream late night. And also, thanks for letting me read your comments on there. We got a lot of interesting comments and questions tonight. So I appreciate you sending those in and sending me updates as well. Thank you. And yeah, subscribe, follow Agenda Free TV. We cover all kinds of live breaking news without an agenda. And turn on notifications, because whenever big news happens, I jump on. I can't tell you in advance most of the time when that's going to happen. But you can get notified whenever we go live by our notification system. It's free. It works great. You sign up once, get a notification for every stream. Make sure you signed up so you don't miss this live stream. The mods will post a link to the notifications. And what is it? Do we have a command for that? I forget. I'm going to try, see if I can get it posted. Let's see. I don't know if that works. Maybe not. Maybe it's not notifications. Is it this one? I got to check and see what it is. There it is. No. Yeah, chat and notification server. Okay, hold on. The mods will post it in the chat. So sign up for those. And also, I will post updates on this and other stories on my X account. Post breaking news there all the time. At Lookner on X. Follow me there for breaking news coverage when I'm not on the air. At Lookner on X. I will post a link in the chat. Thanks, by the way, to Yolanda A. Trevino, PhD. Thanks, Yolanda. And I really appreciate our moderators. We've done 4 streams today. 4. And we've had moderators at each stream. They are the best. Thank you so much for being there, for being in our chats. Moderators, huge thanks to you. Let me shout out some of our moderators. For example, Kay Lowry Body, Margaret Riley, Paul Anderson, and Bud Green. Thanks, Bud, for moderating over on Facebook. Thank you. Over there on Twitch, Matthew Kohai, Sarah, Papa Bear, Surly Dev. Thank you. All of our YouTube moderators who've been here all day. I really appreciate it. And on Twitch, Linda Belk, Larry, Misha. Thank you to our moderators. Huge thanks for all of your help. Let's see here. Thanks to everybody who donated too. That's so nice of you. Thanks to Tabitha Veers, our member, by the way. Denise Horton from Canada for donating. Thank you. I know a lot of our viewers live in these countries. We'll have to just, I'll have to see how prices get affected here. I don't know. We'll see. Thanks, Ronald Kame, for the gift memberships, by the way. Thank you, Ronald Kame. And thank you, everybody else who donated. Did I thank Paper City Gamer for the bits on Twitch? I think I did. I hope so. Hopefully I got everybody. But your support is what allows this channel to exist. So I really, really appreciate your generous support, which has allowed this channel to exist for years now. We started in 2018, and thanks to your support, we are still doing this. Wow, 2018. Almost 7 years. Thank you for supporting the channel. If you ever want to donate, go to agendafree.tv, agendafree.tv. But thank you. Also, we have a chat where you can chat with other viewers when we're not live. A lot of our viewers like doing that. It's on Discord. It's free. Check it out. It's the same link as the notifications link. It's the same one. So you can check that out if you want. And thanks to our Discord moderators, too, for all you do. Thanks to Discord mods. Let's see here. Another good way to find out when we're going live, follow us on X at AgendaFreeTV. I always post there when we're going live. I post updates about the channel there at AgendaFreeTV on X. And also, what else I was going to mention? Yes, if you watch on YouTube, turn the YouTube notifications on, which is kind of a weird thing to do. I mean, it's hard. It's weird to figure out how to do it. It's not weird to do. It's weird to figure out how to do it. It's a weird process. You have to subscribe first, and then once you subscribe, you click this bell, and you choose all notifications. That's how you turn the YouTube notifications on. All right. Thanks so much to man, this impacts people in so many ways. Think of anybody who has a business and they use parts from one of these countries, or they sell stuff to another country, or people who buy stuff from another country, or buy stuff with parts from another country. All kinds of people do these things. Might impact just about everybody who lives in these various countries to various extents. Some a ton. Peter says higher prices. All right, so thanks. I want to shout out our subscribers on Twitch. Thanks for supporting the channel by subscribing. Billy Joe, Wall Street and Shaggy, thank you. Distance Galaxy 13. Gina Pino, Wall Street. I wish I had a way to just give like a gold star. Everybody who watched all 4 streams should get a special gold star today. Thanks to our special shout out to anybody who did that. Matthew Kohai 3, thanks for subscribing. Ellie Travels, Rocky Coast, all of our other Twitch subscribers, thank you. Pineways said I did, and then posted a gold star emoji. Well, there you go. You gave yourself one. You deserve it. Thanks to our Facebook subscribers so much. Like Eve Richards, Lou Green, Robert Rial II, Kay Lowry Body, Aaron Van S., Margaret Riley, Big thanks. Thanks to our other viewers on Facebook too, like Lori Nance, Chris McVeigh, Jasmine Beatty, Ann Spencer, and all of our other Facebook viewers, Sarah Smile, Dennis McNeely, and also our YouTube members like CAC813, Ryan, Thomas Darwin, Buffalo Women, Abel, TJ Adams, The Lucky Minute, Darth Pronator, Ken Lance, Jennifer Dill, UV Lightning, Olivia, Quentin from Astoria, Mama 457 Rose, Pebble Girl, Ryan, I think I said Ryan, Crispy, WC, Gemini Rose, Andrew M., Ronald Kame, Jay Knows Which, TJ Adams, Hassel DeHoff, all of our other members on YouTube, thank you. Lolly Lollipop. Thanks, Tim King, our viewer. Crazy Day, says Tim. Yes. CAC watched all 14 streams. So did 606 Bill Hilly. Thank you for watching all 4 streams. Thanks, Chaz Martin, for watching. Sadi BB, our member. All right, guys, it's time. It's been a busy day. There could be more news that happens tonight. I don't know. But for now, I'm going to try to get some rest, because I'm sure we'll be on soon covering more news. Thanks, Michael One Rare Zebra, for watching. Thanks, Strong One, for watching. Sarasota FOH. All right, so that is it. You have been watching our tariffs countdown, and wow, it really happened. 25% tariffs on everything coming into the U.S. from Mexico, 25% on everything except energy coming in from Canada, and 10% on energy from Canada, and an additional 10% on goods coming in from China, which when you add the 10% from a month ago is 20% on goods coming to the U.S. from China. Wow. So are we now in tariff wars? Where is this all going? We will have to see. How is this going to impact the economies of these countries? We will have to see. All right, that is it for right now. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you soon with more live breaking news coverage right here at Agenda Free TV.